I'll talk about another speculation on the future with Bitcoin, and it's relevant now because we watched the money printer go burr. But essentially, we have the capacity as the central reserve currency issuer to print more currency at will. And there might be a case when that makes sense. The barbarians are at the gate and we need to print some money to defend ourselves. Maybe that's justified. But because we have that magic money printer button, we have the capacity to use it and abuse it in times when it doesn't make sense, whether through corruption or just due to our culture of interventionism. So we can't let the markets fail because it's election season, push the money printer. And a couple times, no big deal. But what this does over the long term is it distorts the signal. The monetary signal throughout the whole economy is wrong.
Another thing I would think about in terms of putting value into the world, right, is that if you think about focus is like a superpower. So I can take the sun, it can warm up the whole world, but with a magnifying glass, I could start a fire, right? Or we take a river, a meandering river, I'd make a dam, I could light up all of Las Vegas, right? And so when you focus things down, you get this superpower. And so if I can take all of my time and all of my focus on trying to achieve something very high value, curing brain cancer or something, right? Brain tumors, or I don't know, right? And I'm just going to be the best brain surgeon I can be, and I'm going to come up with new technologies, and I'm going to come up with new ways to do this, and I'm going to try to save as many lives as I can. I could focus on that. I could probably do really good. But the problem is because our money loses value, I can't just be the best brain surgeon or whatever I want to be. And so now I have to be a half brain surgeon and I have to be a half investor. I'm forced to be a half investor because if I just make $1,500 an hour being a brain surgeon, or 25, I don't even know how much to make, $5,000 an hour, doesn't matter. I put that money in the bank, but it just buys me less and less and less and less and less. And so now I have to be a half investor. Now, if I have a pie, if I have a circle, and I have 100% of my focus there, and then I put a line down the middle, and I have half investor and half brain surgeon, I have half of my brain power going to that high value task that could do very good for humanity. And then half my brain power has to be spent chasing a bunch of whatever digits so I don't lose my purchasing power. I mean, think about the brain drain. Think about the loss of productivity. Think about the loss of progress that we've had just because for the last 80 years or so we've been chasing Wall Street Fugazi because so our money doesn't disappear. It's just insane. And so if you think about, and I ask people a lot of times, I've said two of the greatest tricks the Fed ever played on us is one, telling us that our money has to increase for the population to grow. And two, asset prices going up is a good thing. And I would say neither of those are true. And so, and I would just ask people a question, would you rather your money buy you more goods and services in the future or less? And of course, everyone says more. And so if we could just work and be a brain surgeon and I could save my money and know that my money would buy me more goods and services in the future, then I could put all of my focus into whatever that is that I'm trying to do. And man, imagine how much better that would be for humanity. Now, not good for Wall Street, so if you guys are in the financial industry, I'm sorry. Maybe one day you'll be out of a job, but not for a while. But that'd be another big improvement for humanity, I think. Like I said, a technological revolution, as we've seen 5 in the past couple hundred years, and here we're witnessing the 6th, changes the course of humanity. So these are all the ways that we think it can change the course of humanity. Where do these lead? We don't really know. Right? We can't imagine the future. What I do know is that when you solve the problem of 1 million people, you probably make $1 million. When you solve the problem of 1 billion people, you probably make $1 billion. And what I might imagine is that the oldest problem that mankind has had from the beginning of time is how do I secure my property from being stolen? So Brandon might want to come take my chickens, and so me and somebody else, make a little group, and then we make a village, and then we make a tribe, and then we make a kingdom, and we make a country, and we're always trying to secure our private property. And what happens when you fix that problem? What happens when now Bitcoin and I can secure all my property with a cryptographic key I can keep in my head? It doesn't require an army or a country to secure that. So when you solve the biggest and the oldest problem mankind has suffered, what does that mean for the future? And we just don't have the answer for that, but it's big. It's bigger than any of you can imagine. So 1, change the course of humanity. 2, drives financial markets. And so think about that. There's a lot of opportunities, obviously, with Bitcoin, and you can all buy and hold it, and of course you all should. You're all here for a Swan event, so I'm sure you are. And you should buy more. But there's also lots of opportunities around that, right? It's going to create all types of opportunities through all types of markets, and there's all types of like we just heard about video games. I mean, there's all types of other opportunities popping up, ancillary services, education services, products that are going to be popping up around this. I mean, it's going to create entire industries around it, I think, and that's what history kind of shows us. Maybe just maybe a last couple points, if we have a few more minutes, to kind of talk back on the technology side. A couple things that I think that we also see as we look at these technology cycles is they also kind of follow these same type of trends. And so what we'll see, for example, in the automobile boom is as soon as this new technology came out, the speculators rush in. And of course, money drives incentives. And so the speculators rush in, they want to get rich, they want to cash in on this technology. And all of a sudden there's 250 automobile manufacturers, but there was no markets, no one to buy them, and there's no services for those, and they all went out of business. And we saw the same thing in the internet days with the web van and the pets.com and all those things. And I think we've also seen a similar thing happen in the Bitcoin / crypto space as well, where the financial speculators have come in and they've tried to do the exact same thing that we've seen in the last same technology cycles, but they had the exact same problems. One, there was no market. There's not enough people for all these 22,000 whatever ideas that they have. And two, there's just the infrastructure is just not there for that. And then, most of them are stupid anyway. We'll come back to that. But I think what they're trying to do also mimics some other things that we've seen in the past where there's different competing platforms in the beginning, the beta versus VHS kind of thing, right? And you see these different platforms kind of playing out. It's a new technology. You don't know what it is. And I might have been guilty of making that same argument in 2017 or 2018. I think at this point it's pretty clear, right? And I think the technological revolution is decentralization. It's solved the digital ledger, right? Decentralized. And you can't be better than that. Vitalik Buterin laid it out on his own trilemma, as he calls it. And he's the one that laid it out. And so since you can't be more decentralized, then you have to be less decentralized and better at something else. But the revolution is decentralization. And so it doesn't serve any purpose trying to do that.
And one further point on what's the value of Bitcoin? People think it's 21 million. People think it's permissionless. People think all these different reasons, all valuable reasons. I actually think the most important thing about Bitcoin is that humans can't change it. Like TCP/IP, there's no way we're changing that because it's too embedded. I think that's the secret of Bitcoin. All previous monies in the history of time failed either due to a competitor outcompeting that money or corruption from the inside. So we own the mint and times are tough, so we clip your coins. That greed cascades and then you break the money. And I think Bitcoin solves for both of these two problems why currencies change. One, the technological advancement. Bitcoin can evolve technologically. Base layer does what it does best. It's dumb money, it's secure, it's settlement. And we can have infinity layers on top and infinity layers on the side, so we can adapt this monetary network to the needs of our species. And the second one is, can it be corrupted? And I think that's still yet to be seen, but I think it's clearly the biggest contender in a money that will never be corrupted. Hasn't been yet. It's passed a few trials and tribulations, but maybe we haven't fought the final boss yet. But I think it is the money that has a chance. All these other competitors, Ethereum, whatever, they don't have that aspect, in which case there may be a 30-year system at absolute best until it gets corrupted. Where Bitcoin, it has the potential to be a 500-year system. 5,000-year system. It might be the first immortal money because it can learn, it gets smarter, we shepherd it through, but no one can pervert it, no one can corrupt it politically. And that's the most important part here, because that allows society to build on top of this new robust layer that can't be changed.
If any of you guys know who I am, I can just sit here and talk all night, so we'll try and wrap it up here. I don't know how much longer we have. I might wrap it up with kind of one last little rant here. What I'd say is as I kind of said earlier, that problems, or I should say solutions, are supposed to come to problems. And it's pretty evident if you look around the world today, we have a lot of big problems. And the problems they're not new, but they're getting bigger and they're getting worse. And some of the problems I think about would be like, we used to have a rule of law, right? The Constitution was a rule of law. And it was supposed to be open and known to everybody, so I could direct my lives based off of those rules, and you could direct your life based off those rules. But today we don't have that anymore. We're ruled by men who arbitrarily change rules. That's a problem for me. We used to have, freedom to move, to exchange words, to exchange values, and a lot of that has been taken away. And that's a big problem for me. We're being censored, on what we say. We're being censored on our transactions. PayPal can now dock you $2,500. That came back, by the way. And so those are big problems. So we need a big solution for those problems. And I'm not one of the guys who's going to cry on big problems, because big problems mean big opportunities. And we got a big solution here. And so the solution came, and it instead of being censored, it gave us something that's now censorship resistant. And instead of something that's arbitrarily controlled and ruled by men, we have something that is trustless and it's not controlled by men. Now, of course, you can have Ethereum if you want something controlled by men, but Bitcoin is controlled not by men. And so we have that solution today. And so I think it's important to understand, though, that the battle lines are here. The battle lines are drawn, and it's coming to a head here pretty quickly. And so I kind of work with this sense of urgency. And so, like, Bitcoin is a big tool that can give us hope. As Brandon said, that some tools are better than others. But on one side, they want more control. And on the other side, I think the side that most of us are on, we want more freedom. We want them to have less control. There was an article recently that talked about the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury, as this all-seeing eye of Sauron, where really all of these KYC and AML and FinCEN, all these things, they're not just regulations to stop terrorism. They want to see every single transaction because they want 100% in total control. And the reason why they want 100% in total control is because if they control the money, they control the world, right? Control the food, control the people, control the energy, control the continent, control the money, control the world. They need 100% visibility and control to every single financial transaction that happens in the world. Never mind leaving billions of dollars for the Taliban. You're $600. That's a problem, right? We need to see that. And so this is coming to a head. Like, this is coming really quickly. The social credit score system is moving fast, and CBDCs are on the rise, and they're coming fast. And it's happening in other countries first. I think the U.S., I have a little bit of hope. I think we're still going to have a battleground here in the U.S. because of the Constitution, that pesky document. It doesn't allow the Fed to create money. We'll see how that shakes out. But this is coming to a head, and it's coming to a head most likely the next couple of years. And we're either going to win, and we'll have our freedom money, and hopefully we'll start to chip away and defund the big state, we'll call it that. Or they win, and we all have CBDCs, and we can live our life as permanent slaves. And so I think it's pretty important. And I think we should all try to be a little bit more involved. And so I challenge you a little bit on that. But at a minimum, just buying Bitcoin, at least you're doing something. At least you're doing something, and start there. So it's something much bigger than what we understand, what we will know. Our grandkids will look back and think, wow, I can't believe these guys, these pioneers. You're all part of something really, really big and something super, super important. So just buying and holding it, you're doing your part. And if you can, try to dig in and do a little bit more.
Thank you.